welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Sorry I missed Monday's reading. I was in the middle of traveling and my travel plans got delayed, which delayed my other plans. And so now I am back on track here today with our collective readings. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have the World. We have the Chariot. We have the Three of Pentacles. We have the Magician. We have the Eight of Cups. We have the Seven of Wands on the bottom of the deck. The World indicates that there is some sort of major cycle. This can be an end and a new beginning that's happening here, but what's interesting to me is the colors on this card are particularly standing out to me. So we have the teal color here at the bottom, which would be the throat chakra, which has to do with how you speak and how you communicate. We have the green here, which has to do with the heart chakra, which has to do with the things you love and your emotions. And then we have the yellow here that's kind of going down the center. Yellow is action. It's the solar plexus chakra. So this is taking action on something. So what's interesting here is this new cycle is bringing you into alignment with those three chakras. There is sort of this embracing that's happening with the Chariot, where you're embracing the light and dark, or the duality of things, or you're embracing sort of this balanced energy where you're recognizing that your feelings, your actions, and the way you communicate don't always have to be so extreme and positive or negative. This has a lot to do with being in touch with how you feel, saying what you mean, and then taking action on what you say. Where I'm seeing in the past with the Seven of Wands that there may have been some disconnect here with those three chakras. You may have not been very good at saying what you mean, or acting on your feelings, or speaking the truth about how you really feel. So this is a freedom that's coming here. With the Three of Pentacles, it's interesting to me because this looks like a stoplight. We're going from sort of this stuck, paused, stop energy to go. There's more of this inner knowing that's happening. And there's more community that's happening where you're receiving more support, but you're also communicating more. So for some of you, that has to do with delegation. For others of you, it has to do with being open-hearted and communicating your feelings and everything honestly instead of hiding them away. I'm hearing that in the past with the Seven of Wands, there was a lot of this energy here where you kind of were afraid to speak your truths, or to stand up for yourself, or to be more assertive, or to be honest with how you were really feeling because you were afraid of conflict. What you're starting to realize here with the Chariot is that it's not that you're in a state of peace and peace has no conflict. It's that peace sometimes requires conflict in order to keep peace. You're starting to recognize that by being assertive, by speaking your truths, by being open-hearted and honest with your feelings and honest with others of how you feel, and communicating those feelings open and honestly, and taking action open and honestly, which can also mean drawing healthier boundaries, or being more assertive, or speaking more honestly, or doing things in a more authentic way. That you are now stepping into sort of this different energy here, that you can actually have more forward momentum by doing that, and that by doing that, it doesn't mean that you are being negative or that you are creating conflict. And what's interesting here is with the Magician, you're starting to recognize your own power where it comes to these three chakras, where it comes to how you feel, communicating how you feel, and taking action on those feelings. You're starting to realize that by being more honest with the people around you, whether it is a positive or a negative feeling, that you are actually creating more of the world that you want and the situations that you want and the energy that you want around you, because there's more authenticity. What I'm seeing is with the Eight of Cups, it's requiring you to walk away. And I'm really, really hearing for those of you who are afraid to communicate your feelings openly and honestly. For those of you who tend to be very emotionally unavailable, there is this opening up that's happening of your inner self that's allowing you to be more vulnerable, but it also means you're walking away from certain ways of thinking, feeling, doing, being. And what I'm really seeing here is that for some of you, this really has to do with being very honest with how you feel and saying what you mean, and delineating the difference between what you mean and how you feel, and actually saying what you mean. What I'm seeing here is in the past, a lot of you may have said things similar, but they weren't the same as what you feel. So for example, if you wanted somebody out of your life entirely, instead of saying, I want you out of my life, you would say something like, oh, well, maybe we could be friends, or maybe we could this or that. Another example would be to say that you're more than happy to do something for someone when really you didn't want to do it and you just felt obligated. There was a disconnect between what you said and what you meant, and you sort of put the accountability on the other person. Instead of being open and honest with how you were feeling and communicating that, you sort of just expected them to sort of read your mind or just make assumptions about how you felt. That caused a lot of problems because it didn't help you establish healthy boundaries, because there was a lack of authenticity. And there may have been some overgiving for some of you in certain instances of your life where you were doing and acting and speaking from a place where you were not being in alignment with how you actually felt about whatever situation it was. So I'm seeing that you're walking away from that with the Eight of Cups, and you're learning that there's a new way to go about doing things in a more authentic way, and that's really going to be benefiting you here. Let's see if I can get just a couple more cards of what you can expect, or any final guidance maybe. We have the Three of Swords. We have the Page of Swords. We have the Hermit. There's a lot of healing from pain that's happening here, and there are a lot of past mistakes that you need to forgive yourself for in terms of not being honest with how you feel. And I'm also hearing that for some of you, not being completely honest with yourself and with others how you felt ended up causing more pain and disappointment for you in the long run. Some of you also may have stayed in situations past their expiration date. It's like you chose, instead of dealing with a temporary discomfort, you ended up prolonging the pain and disappointment because you continued the cycle by being dishonest instead of cutting it off earlier on. I'm also seeing with the Page of Swords though, that you have new ideas that are guiding you towards this new way of being and this enlightenment, and also this understanding. There's an understanding here of why there's been a disconnect and a misalignment with the way you feel and how you act and communicate on those feelings. And a lot of it does have to do with the fact that you weren't being honest with yourself. There was a lack of authenticity here with yourself. What I'm really picking up on here is that a lot of this has to do with avoiding conflict. And it's a feeling where it's like you keep trying to avoid conflict, and by avoiding conflict, you are creating more conflict, because the more dishonest you were being, the longer you had to prolong the sort of false narrative that you were operating under. And so now what I'm seeing here is that you're starting to recognize this about yourself and recognize the worry and anxiety that you would get regarding conflict, and you're starting to step into a more confident and worthy energy, where now you're recognizing that by saying no and sometimes confronting certain problems, it's actually benefiting you and the people around you. It's actually creating healthier situations, mindsets, actions, etc. for you. So continue on this journey, continue diving deeper into why you've maybe made some of these decisions, and make peace with some of the mistakes you've made from the past. Remember that the Seven of Wands has to do with self-sabotage, but it also, in the positive sense, means that you've taken the different lessons, the different ideas, the positive and negative aspects of the actions and thoughts and things that you've done, and transmuting that into positive and having sort of this self-understanding. So continue doing this work. I'm going to leave the reading here, but your affirmation for this reading is, I forgive myself for my past mistakes. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.